Hello everyone, where are you watching us from? Kindly click the subscribe button. The birthday cake sat untouched on the dining table, candles melting into the frosting. I stood in the doorway of my parents' house, frozen, as Mom's voice carried from the living room. Honestly, Maya is deadweight. Still making barely minimum wage at 27. Why should we keep inviting her to family events? Aunt Carol laughed. She's always been the slow one. Dad cleared his throat. We've tried helping. She just can't seem to get ahead. My chest tightened. I stepped into view, grocery bags hanging from my arms. The room fell silent. Mom's face hardened. We've decided as a family not to support you anymore. You're on your own. My sister Becca smirked from the couch, phone in hand. The bags slipped from my fingers. Apples rolled across the hardwood floor. Nobody moved to help. I turned and walked out, tears blurring the porch steps. Behind me, my brother Kyle muttered just loud enough, "You won't survive without us." 3 days later, I pulled into the driveway after my shift at the coffee shop. My key wouldn't turn in the front door lock. I tried again. Nothing. The lock had been changed. I walked around back. Same thing. My clothes sat in garbage bags by the fence, dew soaking through the plastic. A note was taped to one bag. Mom's handwriting. When you earn enough, maybe you can come back. My hands shook as I loaded the bags into my beat-up Honda. Mrs. Patterson from next door appeared on her porch. Maya, honey, wait. She handed me an envelope. Your father dropped this in our mailbox by mistake yesterday. I opened it. A letter to Uncle Frank. Dad's writing. Maya has become a financial burden we can no longer afford to carry. She makes poor choices and refuses to grow up. I folded it carefully, slid it back into the envelope. Mrs. Patterson squeezed my shoulder. I drove away without looking back. I knocked on Tasha's apartment door at midnight. She opened it in her bathrobe, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. The garbage bags lined her hallway. I collapsed on her couch, finally letting the tears come. They changed the locks, I whispered. They threw out my stuff like trash. Tasha sat beside me, arm around my shoulders. I told her everything. The birthday humiliation. The letter. Years of being compared to Becca and Kyle, who both had office jobs and new cars. You're going to stay here as long as you need, Tasha said firmly. And we're going to rebuild your life. Together. I cried harder, grateful for her kindness. She made tea and brought blankets. We sat in silence for a while. Then she looked at me with determination. I know something that could change everything, she said softly. If you're willing. Tasha worked as an office manager at a tech startup downtown. The next morning, she introduced me to her boss, Mr. Harrison. He was maybe 50, with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Tasha speaks highly of you, he said. We need someone in customer support. Entry level, but there's room to grow if you work hard. The pay was only slightly better than the coffee shop, but it came with benefits and real opportunities. I accepted immediately. Thank you, I managed. I won't let you down. Mr. Harrison studied me for a moment. You remind me of myself when I was broke and desperate, he said quietly. Stick with me, and you'll rise faster than you think. But you have to be willing to put in the work. I nodded, determination replacing the grief. That afternoon, I started training. The office buzzed with energy. Everyone seemed focused and driven. I wanted that. I needed that. That evening, Tasha showed me a Facebook post. Mom had shared it publicly. Some children just aren't meant for success. You can give them everything, but they still choose failure. Prayers for wisdom. The comments were filled with family members. Aunt Carol posted laughing emojis. Becca wrote, "So true, Mom. Some people never learn." Kyle added, thankful for the ones who actually made something of themselves. I stared at the screen, anger building in my chest. Tasha watched my face. Use this, she said. Let it fuel you, not break you. I screenshot the post, saved it to my phone. Then I blocked them all. That night, I lay on Tasha's couch and made myself a promise. I would prove every single one of them wrong. The next morning, Mr. Harrison called me into his office. We have extra shifts available if you can handle high-pressure situations, he said. Interested? I didn't hesitate. Yes. The next 3 months blurred together. I arrived early and stayed late. I handled angry customers with patience. I learned the software inside and out. I took online courses at night, studying customer service strategies and business communication. My coworkers started coming to me with questions. Supervisors noticed. One Friday, the operations manager stopped by my desk. You've got a natural talent for de-escalation, she said. We've been tracking your call ratings. They're the highest on the team. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride. Real, earned pride. Not handed to me. Not because of my last name. Because I worked for it. Tasha celebrated with me that weekend. We ordered pizza and watched movies on her tiny TV. You're glowing, she said. This is just the beginning. Monday morning, Mr. Harrison's assistant emailed me. Subject line, meeting request. My heart raced. The message was brief. The CEO would like to meet with you today at 2. Alexander Hayes sat behind a glass desk, windows overlooking the city behind him. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Maya, he said, gesturing to a chair. I've been watching your progress. I sat, trying to keep my hands steady. Mr. Harrison speaks highly of you, he continued. But more importantly, your metrics speak for themselves. You've reduced complaint escalations by 30% since you started. He leaned forward. I'm offering you something unusual. Personal mentorship. I'll teach you about business operations, leadership, client relations. In return, you give me your absolute best work. I could barely breathe. Yes. Thank you. Alexander smiled slightly. One warning, Maya. Success will attract people you don't expect. People from your past. Stay focused on what you're building, not who's watching. I nodded, not fully understanding yet. But I would. Soon enough, I would understand exactly what he meant. 2 months later, a major client threatened to leave. They'd received defective products and were furious. The account was worth hundreds of thousands. Panic spread through the office. I was in a meeting when the operations manager mentioned the client had specifically requested to speak with someone who actually cared. Send Maya, Alexander said from the doorway. Everyone turned to look at me. My stomach dropped. She can handle it. I called the client, hands shaking. For 90 minutes, I listened. Really listened. I apologized. I offered solutions. I didn't make excuses. When I finally hung up, the conference room was silent. They're staying, I announced. They want to expand their contract. The room erupted in applause. Alexander nodded once, a small smile on his face. That afternoon, I received an email from HR, we'd like to discuss a promotion to team lead. Your new salary will reflect your contributions. Congratulations. I read it 3 times to make sure it was real. The promotion came with a significant raise. Real money. Enough to move out of Tasha's apartment. I found a small 1-bedroom place across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. The afternoon I got my keys, Tasha helped me move my few belongings in. We stood in the empty living room, our voices echoing off bare walls. Remember sleeping on my couch 3 months ago? Tasha asked. I I nodded, throat tight. Look at you now. We ordered Chinese food and ate sitting on the floor. Later, Tasha pulled out her phone. Let me get a picture of you in your new place, she said. This is a moment worth remembering. I stood by the window, evening light streaming in. She snapped several photos. Perfect, she said, scrolling through them. You look so happy. I was. For the first time in my adult life, I felt like I was building something real. Something nobody could take away. Tasha posted one of the photos the next day. I was smiling at the camera, my new apartment visible behind me. The caption read, "Proud of my best friend Maya. From nothing to something. She's proof that hard work pays off." Within hours, the post had hundreds of likes. Friends from high school commented. Coworkers shared it. Former coffee shop regulars sent encouraging messages. I felt overwhelmed by the support. That evening, an unknown number texted me. Is that really your house? My chest tightened. I didn't recognize the number, but something about the message felt familiar. The tone. The skepticism. 10 minutes later, another text. Maya, it's your mother. We need to talk. I stared at my phone screen. After 4 months of silence, now she wanted to talk. Another message appeared. Can I call you? It's important. I set the phone down, hands trembling. Tasha came into the room. What's wrong? I showed her. Her jaw clenched. Don't respond yet. Let's think this through. Mom called anyway. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Hello. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Maya, sweetheart. Her tone was bright, cheerful. Like nothing had happened. I saw Tasha's post. Your apartment looks lovely. Sweetheart. She hadn't called me that in years. I wanted to reach out, she continued. I think it's time we reconnected as a family. We've all been under so much stress, but that's behind us now. I said nothing. Your father and I were talking. We'd love to have you over for dinner. Becca and Kyle miss you. The lie was so smooth, so practiced. I almost laughed. I'll think about it, I said carefully. That's wonderful. Oh, also, her tone shifted slightly. Your sister mentioned you got promoted. That you're doing really well now. There it was. The real reason for the call. I have to go, Mom. I'm busy. Before she could respond, I hung up. Another text came through immediately. Also, we really need to talk. It's urgent. The next morning, Mom called again. This time she was crying. Maya, please. I need your help. Her voice shook. I'm very sick. The doctors found something serious. My stomach dropped despite everything. What do you mean? I've been having treatments, she sobbed. But the medical bills are crushing us. The insurance won't cover everything. Your father and I can't afford it. She sent a photo. A hospital invoice. The total at the bottom, $85,000. I stared at the number. Mom, you're doing so well now, she interrupted. You have a good job, a nice apartment. This is what family does. We help each other. My mind raced. I have to go, I said. I'll call you back. I didn't. Instead, I sat on my couch, staring at that invoice. Part of me wanted to help immediately. She was still my mother. But something felt wrong. The timing. The sudden sweetness after months of silence. Tasha came home and found me there. What happened? I showed her everything. She read the messages, studied the invoice. Then she looked at me seriously. Maya, we need to verify this. Over the next 2 days, my phone exploded. Aunt Carol called, leaving voicemails about how ungrateful I was. Becca sent long texts about family obligations. Kyle messaged saying I was being selfish. Mom needs help now, Becca wrote. Stop acting like you're too good for us. Dad sent a single message that made my blood run cold. If you don't pay, your mother's condition will be on you. Can you live with that? Uncle Frank called. Even cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions. They all said the same thing. I owed Mom. She raised me. Fed me. Gave me a home. Now I was abandoning her when she needed me most. I blocked most of them. But the guilt ate at me. What if she really was dying? What if I could help but chose not to? Tasha found me crying in the bathroom. We're calling the hospital tomorrow, she said firmly. Before you do anything, we're getting the truth. The hospital billing department was surprisingly helpful. I explained I was Maya Torres, daughter of Patricia Torres. I needed to verify some medical information before paying a bill. The woman on the phone pulled up Mom's account. Yes, she's been treated here. The invoice is legitimate. My heart sank. But then she continued. The total out-of-pocket after insurance is around $12,000, not $85,000. I'm not sure where that higher number came from. I thanked her and hung up, hands shaking. They'd lied. Multiplied the real amount by 7. I called the nurse's station next. A kind-voiced woman answered. Is Patricia Torres's condition life-threatening? I asked. Long pause. Her condition is manageable with medication and lifestyle changes. She refused the generic medication option, insisting on the premium version because, quote, my rich daughter will cover it. Rich daughter. I closed my eyes. Thank you, I whispered. I had all the proof I needed. They weren't desperate. They were opportunistic. And they thought I was stupid enough to fall for it. I agreed to meet Mom at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral territory. I arrived early, ordered water, and waited. Mom walked in wearing new designer sunglasses. Her outfit looked expensive. She didn't look sick. She looked better than I'd seen her in years. Maya. She rushed over, arms out for a hug. I stayed seated. Her smile faltered. She sat down. Did you think about what I said? I did, I replied evenly. That's why I'm here. Relief crossed her face. Then the door opened. Aunt Carol walked in. Then Uncle Frank. Then Becca. Then Kyle. They surrounded the table. We wanted to be here, Mom explained, to show you how important this is. The whole family supports you helping. My jaw clenched. This was an ambush. The medical bills are urgent, Aunt Carol added. Your mother could die. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes. The real bill is $12,000, I said calmly. Not $85,000. The table went silent. You lied about the amount. You lied about the severity. And you ambushed me with people instead of having an honest conversation. Mom's face turned red. How dare you? I called the hospital, I interrupted. I verified everything. The coffee shop customers were starting to stare. Becca leaned forward. You're so ungrateful. After everything Mom and Dad did for you. Like changing the locks? I asked quietly. Like throwing my clothes in garbage bags? Like posting on Facebook that I'm a failure? Kyle jumped in. You deserve that. You were mooching off them. I paid rent, I said. Every month. $300 while living in my childhood bedroom at 27 because I couldn't afford anything else. Aunt Carol tried to intervene. This isn't about the past, it's exactly about the past. I stood up. You abandoned me when I had nothing. Now you want me to pay inflated bills and pretend we're a happy family. Mom's voice turned sharp. You me. I gave birth to you. I raised you. You would be nothing without me. The words hung in the air. Other customers had stopped talking entirely. I looked at each of them. You're right, I said softly. I would be nothing. If I'd stayed. If I'd kept letting you control and manipulate me. Walking away was the best decision I ever made. I picked up my bag. Mom grabbed my wrist. Don't you walk away from me. I pulled free. You abandoned me first. Then I left. The confrontation changed something in me. I stopped checking my phone constantly, stopped worrying about their opinions. I focused entirely on work. Alexander noticed. You seem different, he said during one of our mentorship sessions. More focused. I cut out distractions, I replied. He nodded approvingly. Good. Because I have a proposal for you. The company was expanding. They needed someone to lead a new customer success division. Build it from scratch. Hire a team. Create processes. The person who does this successfully will become a director, Alexander said. Significant salary increase. Company car. Full benefits package. He looked at me directly. I think you're ready. I was 28. Most directors were in their 40s. I'll do it, I said. I know you will. The promotion became official the following week. My salary tripled. Suddenly, I was making more than Dad, more than Becca and Kyle combined. I bought a reliable car. Nothing flashy. Just dependable. The old Honda had served me well, but it was time to move forward. Everything in my life was moving forward. 6 months later, I stood in front of my new house. Small, 2 bedrooms, a real yard. The mortgage was manageable. The neighborhood was safe. It was everything I'd dreamed about during those nights on Tasha's couch. The realtor handed me the keys. Congratulations, Ms. Torres. You're a homeowner. I walked through the empty rooms, footsteps echoing on hardwood floors. In the kitchen, I pressed my back against the wall and slid down to sit on the floor. Tears came, but they were different this time. Relief. Joy. Proof that I'd made it. Tasha arrived with champagne and takeout. We sat on the floor of my living room, toasting to new beginnings. Your family was wrong about everything, she said. You weren't meant for failure. You were meant for this. That evening, my neighbor knocked on the door. Older woman, kind face. Welcome to the neighborhood, she said. Then her expression shifted. Oh, I should mention. A woman came by yesterday asking about this house. Said she was your mother. I told her I didn't know who was moving in. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my gate. I was unloading groceries when I saw her car pull up. She got out slowly, dramatically leaning on the car door. Maya, she called weakly. I need to talk to you. I set the bags down. How did you find my address? That's not important. She took a step toward me, then staggered. Her hand went to her chest. I'm not well. Please. She collapsed onto my driveway. I rushed forward, caught her before she hit the concrete. Her eyes were closed, breathing shallow. I'm calling an ambulance, I said, pulling out my phone. Her eyes snapped open. No, just let me inside, I'm calling an ambulance. I dialed while she protested weakly. The operator asked questions. I answered calmly, professionally. When I hung up, Mom was sitting up, looking annoyed. That wasn't necessary. You collapsed in my driveway. The ambulance arrived within minutes. Paramedics checked her vital signs, asked about medications. She answered vaguely. At the hospital, I stayed in the waiting room. Professional. Responsible. But distant. When the doctor came out, I stood. She's stable, he said. Are you family? Her daughter. He glanced at his chart. She'll be fine. She just needs rest. Mom appeared in the doorway behind him, looking perfectly healthy. Her eyes met mine. Please, she whispered. Save me. I requested to speak with the doctor privately. He led me to a quiet hallway. I need to understand her actual condition, I said. There's been some confusion about the severity. He pulled up her file on a tablet. Your mother has manageable hypertension and slightly elevated cholesterol. Nothing life-threatening. We recommended lifestyle changes and a standard medication regimen. Is she dying? He looked surprised. No. Not at all. These are common conditions for her age group. What about the treatment she refused? He scrolled through notes. She declined the generic blood pressure medication. Insisted on the brand name, which cost significantly more. When we explained the generic was equally effective, she said her daughter would pay for the premium version, so cost wasn't a concern. My jaw tightened. Can I get a printed copy of her records? The summary of her conditions and treatment options? He hesitated. With her permission, I'm making financial decisions about her care. I need accurate information. He nodded slowly. I'll have the records printed. Give me a few minutes. When I returned to Mom's room, she was sitting up, phone in hand. Probably texting the family. I waited until the doctor handed me the envelope. Then I sat down. I called a family meeting. Mom tried to protest, but I insisted. If we were going to discuss her medical care and finances, everyone needed to hear the same information. We met at a diner. Mom, Dad, Becca, Kyle, Aunt Carol, and Uncle Frank crowded into a large booth. I sat across from them, manila envelope on the table. I have Mom's medical records, I said. From the hospital. Mom's face went pale. That's private, I paid for the visit yesterday. I have a right to understand what I'm paying for. I pulled out the documents. Mom's condition is not life-threatening. She has high blood pressure and cholesterol. Both manageable with generic medication costing about $40 a month. Silence. The hospital bill you showed me was inflated. The real out-of-pocket cost is $12,000, not $85,000. And Mom specifically refused cheaper treatment options because she told the staff I would cover the expensive version. I looked at each of them. I called the billing department. I spoke with her doctors. I have everything documented. Aunt Carol's mouth opened, then closed. Dad stared at the table. Becca and Kyle exchanged glances. So, I continued calmly, let's talk about the truth. And what happens next? Dad cleared his throat. We were just trying to make sure she got the best care, by lying to me. I interrupted. By multiplying the real cost by 7? By telling me she might die? Mom's voice turned sharp. I am your mother. You should want to help me regardless. I do want to help, I said. But on my terms. Not through manipulation. I pulled out my checkbook. Their eyes lit up. I wrote carefully, then tore off the check. $12,000. The exact amount needed for your actual medical bills. Generic medication. Standard treatment. Everything the doctors recommend. I slid it across the table. That's it. No extra. No inflated costs. And no more lies. Mom stared at the check like it had personally offended her. This isn't enough, it's exactly enough, I said firmly. Take it or don't. Your choice. Dad reached for it, but Mom slapped his hand away. We raised you. We deserve more than this. You lost the right to make demands when you threw me out like garbage, I replied. Kyle leaned forward. You're going to regret this. We'll cut you off forever. The words echoed from that birthday party a year ago. I smiled calmly. You already did. The table went silent. I stood up, leaving the check on the table. You cut me off when I had nothing. You mocked me publicly. You changed my locks and threw my belongings in trash bags. Becca tried to interrupt. Let me finish. My voice was steady. Strong. You abandoned me when I needed support. You only came back when you thought I had money to take. That's not family. That's opportunism. Mom's face flushed red. How dare you? I dare because I survived without you. I built a life you said I'd never have. I became successful despite your predictions, not because of your help. Dad stood up, trying to intimidate me with his height. If you walk out now, we're done. Permanently. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I picked up my bag. We were done a year ago. I'm just making it official. Aunt Carol called after me as I walked away. You'll regret this. You'll come crawling back. I pushed through the diner door into bright sunlight. Behind me, their voices faded. That night, Tasha and I celebrated at my house. Real friends. Real support. A letter sat on my kitchen counter. From Alexander. I'd been promoted again. The letter outlined my new role. Senior Director of Customer Operations. Corner office. Full executive benefits. Stock options. The salary was more than I'd ever imagined making. I read it 3 times, then called Alexander. Thank you, I said. You earned it, he replied simply. Every bit of it. I hung up and looked around my house. The furniture I'd bought. The walls I'd painted. The life I'd built from nothing. My phone buzzed. Mom's name appeared. One final text message. We need to talk. This isn't over. I blocked the number. Then I blocked Dad. Then Becca. Kyle. Aunt Carol. Uncle Frank. Every single person who had demanded, manipulated, or tried to guilt me. The silence was immediate. Peaceful. I sat on my couch, the executive offer letter in my lap. Tasha was right. They'd been wrong about everything. I wasn't deadweight. I wasn't a failure. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. That weekend, I drove to the cemetery where Grandma was buried. She'd been the only one who believed in me. I sat by her headstone and told her everything. The job. The house. The victory. You were right, I whispered. Hard work does pay off. And family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose to stay. Monday morning, Mom sent one last message from a different number. We need to talk. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I typed my response carefully. I forgive you. But I won't return to that family dynamic again. My life is healthier without it. I transferred exactly $12,000 to Mom's account. The amount for her real medical bills. Nothing more. Nothing less. Then I sent a final message. This covers your actual treatment. Use it wisely. Don't contact me again. I blocked the new number. The chapter closed. Not with anger. Not with bitterness. With clarity. I paid what was truly owed, set my boundaries, and moved forward. That afternoon, Alexander called me into his office. We're opening a new location, he said. I want you to run it. Full autonomy. Build something from the ground up. I thought about that couch at Tasha's apartment. The garbage bags. The changed locks. How far I'd come. Yes, I said. Absolutely yes. He smiled. I knew you'd say that. I walked out of his office, down the hallway, past the cubicles where I'd started. New employees looked up, respectful. I'd become what I needed when I was broken. Proof that abandonment doesn't define you. That family is what you build, not what you're born into. And that sometimes, the best revenge is becoming exactly who they said you'd never be,